I'm building my high shelter now in the Banksia forest. I'm stretching up high because the shelter needs to be about an arm's reach above the head. Now in the Banksia forest, all the trees are relatively straight and the branches are similar and the main trunk of the tree are similar. The bark actually comes away quite easy, and the extensive branches that you would normally get on an English tree don't really exist here, as the tree tends to be more upward in stature. I've already checked the ground to make sure there's no bits of log or stick in the way that could hurt the children when they sit down. I'm over at the other side now doing a tension knot. If I was to do it in forest school or bush school as we call it, I'd actually bring a portable stool to get a bit more height. But I do find that the trees in Australia, the native trees in the native bush, are slightly harder probably than the English ones to work with, just for the fact that they grow differently. The branches that do come off the Banksia can be quite brittle, so I tend to use the thicker ones which are more upright. So I would avoid, as we've been taught, getting a rock or a stick to throw the rope over an extensive branch from the Banksia tree, because in most cases it wouldn't be strong enough to hold the tarp when it was stretched out, when there's tension on it. So I've done my tension knot. Just about to place the tarp over the top. And the tarp today, we've already prepared the corners and the guide ropes leading off to the other trees. We're using trees today to attach the rest of the shelter to, rather than down to the floor, due to the nature of the soil being completely sand. So the pegs tend to come out very, very easily and don't hold unless you use the thicker pegs, which go deeper into the ground. So I've already prepared the guide ropes and tied them onto the tarp using a figure of 8. I'm just pulling out the first corner of the tarp. Attach that to the first tree. So I'm putting the guide rope on. I've used a figure of 8 to secure it to the tarp. Placing tension on it. Using a tension knot to attach the guide rope to the tree. Moving on to the second side. Some of the bark came off, as it tends to do. Just readjusting the tarp as we go along, trying try and create a little bit more height underneath. This time I've used a timber hitch on this one. Now this shelter that I'm doing is not high, but like I said, I could get it higher by using a portable stool. It's high enough for the children to still sit underneath it. We could possibly use it to protect ourselves during a light shower. We wouldn't be using these for fire because we don't do open fires in the bush, as they are not allowed due to the big bushfire risk really at any time of year. You can see from the video the nature of the area that I'm working in. It's mainly Banksia. This time of year it gets very, very dry as well, which creates flammable material. So this type of shelter we probably use over our meeting place, or even over our tool area if the children were working with the tools. I've done my last tension knot, and you can see I can fit underneath it quite easily. There's my shelter.